India Global.
India Global.
Hello and welcome. Join me, Vinita Menon,
and Pradeep Kumar
for a trip to Egypt. The Arab Republic of Egypt straddles two continents, Africa and Asia. Much of the country is in the northeast corner of Africa, with the Sinai Peninsula stretching out into Southwest Asia.
Egypt's unique geographical location with the man-made navigable waterway, the Suez Canal, connecting the Mediterranean Sea in the north with the Indian Ocean, has led to the country emerging as a crucial link between Europe and Asia.
That was Al-Nahar Al-Khalid, the Eternal River, composed by prominent Egyptian composer Muhammad Abdul Wahab.
Through the Sahara Desert, which spreads across nearly 95% of Egypt, winding from south to north, is the world's longest river, the Nile. Its waters and the rich alluvial soil it throws up during its annual cyclical flooding help establish the transition of early man from hunter-gatherer to farmer.
And in the isolation of the desert by the river grew one of the world's oldest civilizations, which gave us the calendar, the book in the form of papyrus scrolls, amazing engineering and architecture, among other things.
You just heard the Ney, an Egyptian flute dating back 5,000 years to the age of the pharaohs, which is still played in contemporary times. The artiste, renowned Ney player Reda Bader.
Tutankhamun, Luxor, the Sphinx, the Library of Alexandria, Cleopatra. They're not just names, but embedded in human memory.
وقف الخلق ينظرون جميعا كيف أبني قواعد.
That was Kulthum, one of the greatest female Arabic singers in history. Despite the march of cultures that overpowered it, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, it was with the arrival of Islam in the 7th century, brought in by the Arabs, that Egypt emerged as a centre of politics and culture in the Muslim world.
Today, its capital, Cairo, the largest city in Africa and one of the most densely populated cities in the world, is where the Arab League is headquartered.
It is also home to the oldest Islamic university, the Al-Azhar, founded over 1,000 years ago.
Apostle Mark founded the Coptic Orthodox Church in Alexandria in 57 AD, making it one of the oldest churches in the world. With the vast desert sweeping the country, only 3% of Egypt is arable, but it is highly fertile and cropped more than once. Agriculture still is one of the important sectors of the economy, though the accent is on cash crops. Egypt is the world's principal producer of long staple cotton.
Egyptian cuisine, interestingly, is mostly vegetarian, making heavy use of legumes and vegetables grown along the River Nile in huge quantities and of high quality. India and Egypt have enjoyed a history of close contact since ancient times, not just through trading ties, but with the flow of thought and experiences.
Indian ambassador to Egypt, Navdeep Suri, says,
the relationship between India and Egypt is truly special in so many different ways. Look at the historical dimension. We hear stories that 5,000 years ago, even the mummies were being wrapped in muslins coming from India, and we hear that much of medieval Cairo's prosperity was being built on spices coming from India. In more recent times, everybody remembers the exceptional relationship between Prime Minister Nehru and President Nasser and how they worked together to develop the concept of the non-aligned movement. We see this spirit of understanding and collaboration manifested in so many different fields. It really is a pleasure to be India's representative in a great civilization like Egypt.
An e-learning center at the University of Alexandria in Egypt, under India's flagship Pan-Africa e-network, helps Egyptian and African students do their masters in management and IT from top Indian universities. Ambassador Suri speaks of the warmth in ties between the two peoples.
Well, the warmth that an average Indian feels on the streets of Cairo or Luxor or Aswan or Alexandria is palpable. The points of connection are many, and I am constantly amazed to see, for instance, Nasser and Nehru to Gandhiji and Tagore, or indeed to many of our Bollywood personalities seem to dominate the discourse.
Shah Rukh Khan's starrer Chennai Express opened in Cairo last year after a hiatus of 25 years since the Bollywood film was last shown in Egyptian theatres to an overwhelming response. The Indian Mission in Cairo is trying to reach out to people across Egypt through several programs, says Ambassador Navdeep Suri.
We've started a major cultural festival here themed India by the Nile. We have a very active cultural center, the Maulana Azad Center for Indian Culture. We run yoga classes, we run Hindi and Urdu classes. It is our endeavor, particularly through our outreach activities into smaller towns in Egypt, to connect the average Egyptian with India in different ways.
Egypt has traditionally been one of India's important trading partners in Africa. Ambassador Suri, speaking of commercial ties between the two countries, says,
The remarkable things that we have seen in recent years is the steep increase in our economic engagement. We are Egypt's 7th largest trading partner. Our diversified export basket includes a lot of different products. We also import some oil and gas, phosphates and other chemicals. It is on the investment side that really we are seeing a transformational position where almost 50 Indian companies now have significant investments in Egypt. The total value of Indian investment is well over $2.5 billion. Something like 35,000 Egyptians are directly or indirectly employed with Indian companies, whether it's petrochemicals, consumer goods, packaging products, or even pharmaceuticals.
Football is the national sport of Egypt, and the country's team is considered the best in the continent, having won the Africa Cup several times and making it to the FIFA World Cup too.
Egypt is a superpower in the sport of squash, with 5 Egyptians among the top 10 in the world.
That wraps up our visit to Egypt.
Hope you enjoyed the trip. But before we go, here's a question for you.
Indian Emperor Ashoka's edicts or inscriptions written on rock or stone refer to an Egyptian ruler. Who was he? Send in your answers to indiajourneys360@gmail.com. The first 3 listeners sending in the correct answers will get a music CD from the AIR archives. Don't forget to add your address and phone number when you mail us.
And congratulations, Ruby Singh from Hyderabad, Rahul Goyal from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, and Yatish Ullal from Mangalore in Karnataka for sending in the right answer to the question on Peru in our earlier program. Enthiran is the 2010 Tamil science fiction thriller featuring Rajinikanth alongside Aishwarya Rai, which had the song Kilimanjaro shot in the backdrop of Machu Picchu in Peru.
Do keep sending in your comments and suggestions.
We love hearing from you. Until next time then, goodbye.
And travel safe.